All right, here we go. Here we go. Happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Yay, good. Okay, I think I'm going now. Happy Friday. I am officially less than 3 weeks from my skin removal surgery. So I figured I would come on and just kind of explain that a little bit, talk about that process. I keep saying skin removal surgery because it sounds better than tummy tuck. Maybe it doesn't matter, but it's a tummy tuck where they're going to remove all my excess skin from weight loss. And what else? Thanksgiving's in less than a week, so I can answer like holiday questions if you have them. But I kind of feel like at this point, people are either going to do what they're going to do on Thanksgiving. Either you've got a plan or you're planning on eating whatever you want on that day. But I figured I would come on and just answer questions, hang out for a few minutes, and we'll see. This might be 10 minutes or it might be an hour, whatever you guys got time for. And whatever questions you have. So thanks for hanging out. I am doing on December 7th. I think I talk about this a little bit more on Instagram. But I am doing on December 7th, I'm doing a tummy tuck. And I'm actually going to stay overnight in a facility for the first night. It's like, so in Scottsdale, obviously, like it's a very popular place to come get plastic surgery. So there's a lot of what they call like recovery centers. And so I'm going to stay in a house where there's like full-time nursing staff. So it's not in a hospital overnight, but it's in like it's like a house, like a care center for people who are having plastic surgery. And, I'll stay there for like 24 hours, which is kind of nice, where I'm glad that my first 24 hours of like figuring out how to do things is going to be there. It is under general anesthesia. They are doing a tummy tuck, extended tummy tuck, which essentially just means wider. So maybe some people who just have like a little pooch or a little stuff, they might just need like a tummy tuck, which would be here. Mine is from hip to hip. And then also diastasis recti repair. So muscle repair. So right now my ab muscles, which I don't know how to like demonstrate this, right? Your ab muscles are kind of like this, and normal persons are going to be together like this. Mine are separated, and I don't really know yet how much they're separated. We'll kind of find that out when we're in surgery, but what they do is they just sew them back together again. So what ends up being the most painful part and the longest part of the recovery is that muscle repair. It's actually the part that I'm the most excited about because I feel like it's going to be the biggest profound difference in my life. Like when I'm eating, the belly protrusion, I talked about it in my keto foods that make me bloated video, like that belly protrusion that I get from my ab muscles separating. And then I just have like a pretty weak abdominal wall. So when I stand and you suck it in real tight, everybody can like tighten their muscles really tight. And then when you relax, like there's a big distance that my belly can go from like super sucked in to like that abdominal wall can sag really far. And that's simply just from carrying around this really big belly for so long. So I'm very excited for them to like tighten up that abdominal wall. I think that's the part though that the recovery ends up taking so long. And then also I'm there, hey, like while you're in there, let's pull it all together. They're going to do little lipo on what's called your flanks. So like my love handles. Just even when I was thinner than this, right? I had gotten thinner than this before. That shape, that like poochy love handles on the sides just doesn't go away. You can't like lose weight. You don't really get to pick where you lose your fat from. And so even when I was a lot thinner than this, mind you, that's not my goal, right? When I was thinner than this, I wasn't healthy. Even though I was doing carnivore, I still was not healthy because you can do carnivore incorrectly. And so I still, even though as tiny as I was, I still had that like love handles on the sides. So we're going to suck that out and then fix my stomach. And most importantly, fix my muscles. Am I losing my belly button? So it's very strange, and I'm sure it's going to not look completely normal, but they actually like they like detach your belly button. And I've been watching, plastic surgery videos, and it's really wild to watch. So they cut around your belly button, and then they stretch everything down, and then they cut you. So like then the stump of your belly button is still there, right? And it's attached to your muscles underneath. They just cut the skin around it. So you're kind of your belly button where it goes inside and is attached is still there. And it's just like attached, and they cut the skin off around it. And then they pull everything down nice and tight. And then they cut you a new little hole and attach it all back together again. So all of these things sound very painful. Can you have your belly button move to a different place for giggles? I don't think so, actually, because they do leave the stump of your belly button there completely like underneath. Um, so definitely, I don't think they can move it for you. They just have to like cut you a new hole that they reattach your belly button to in the first place. Health benefits aside, weight loss to look better seems to not achieve the desired results with excess skin. Like, what looks worse, being big or having unsightly loose skin? Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I'm happier, even if I never had my skin removed. I'm certainly healthier and happier with myself now than I was before. But I kind of feel like I'm ready for my outsides to match the work that I've been doing and how hard I've been working. Also, like my weight fluctuates pretty dramatically now because of how much extra adipose tissue I have. Like as you gain weight and gain weight, your body creates these extra fat cells. And then as you lose weight, you actually don't lose those fat cells completely. Your body drains out the fat from them, and you have these empty, deflated fat cells. And so a lot of people, like, people on the internet have all these opinions. When they see that like piece of my belly hanging there, like you see in the thumbnail from this video, they're like, that's just fat. That's not skin. Yeah, it's empty, like fat tissue, and it's deflated fat cells, and it's, extra skin. And then there's tissue that's involved in that. And so, like, no matter what I do, that's not going to go away. I can't just keep getting skinnier and skinnier unless I starve myself to the point of being absolutely emaciated and unhealthy. That will literally never go away. And so, yeah, it's definitely very strange. It's wild. There's a lot of surgeons. My surgeon doesn't do this, but there's a lot of surgeons who do plastic surgery videos. So if you look up Josh Olson, MD, which is like, don't look at the stuff around your kids because it's a lot of boobs and like they blot out the nipples and stuff. But anyway, this video already is going to get shut down because I just said the word nipple too many times. But if you look up Josh Olson, MD, this is a plastic surgeon that I actually am not using, but I had was going to use him, but he's booked like a year out, and I found somebody also that I respected and I'm happy with. But this guy just posts a lot of videos. Is my point of all this. He posts a lot of videos on Instagram, and you can watch him from his surgeries today. Actually, do a tummy tuck. And you can see that, like, it's very graphic, so be careful. But you can see him do that type of skin removal and these like giant chunks of skin that are hanging out. And the woman that he's doing the surgery on from today is actually like a very normal sized woman. Like when you see her before picture, she looks fantastic. She does not have this huge sagging skin belly that I have currently, and there's a ton of skin that he's able to remove from that. So I'm truly having a hard time imagining what that is going to look like after I have it done. I guess it is very strange. I am hoping to I'm going to document as I can on Instagram, but for like longevity purposes, I'm planning on doing something for YouTube. To be honest, I'm not really sure like how graphic you guys want to see like in surgery videos. Let me know. I also don't like, I have all in my mind, like I'm going to film things, but let's be real. Like Chris is not really a real cameraman. I'm not a YouTuber. Like this isn't my job. So like filming the whole in and out and I don't know what I'm going to get, to be honest. We'll see. And then I'm going to have Chris maybe film some in recovery and all that kind of stuff. But tell me, I talked to the surgeon about getting some footage from inside the room. So yeah, let me know I'm planning on putting a lot of stuff on Instagram. On YouTube. I'm sorry, on YouTube. it just isn't going to be like real time. I also don't know if you guys really want like a weekly update on YouTube, or if I'll just do one like a month later about like the whole entire process. So yeah. Okay. I'm going to try it. Now this is when you guys are here and you're commenting, and this is awesome. So I'm going to try to answer as many comments as I can. If you want me to answer it first, you can always send a super chat, but I'm going to try to hit up as many as I can. Sounds expensive. Yeah. It's not cheap. Yeah. I will share that as well too, if you want. Have you ever tried physical therapy for diastasis? I'm trying something a friend gave me from her PT, but not noticeable or difference yet. I have heard of women healing some diastasis from physical therapy. And I think if you had minor diastasis or minor ab separation, then that can help. I think mine personally and my abdominal wall is just too weak, and everything is just too damaged from having this huge belly for so long. Same thing like if you've had twins or you've had many, many pregnancies, or even just a big baby, you know, like that can really happen. So I have tried it previously, like after I had my kids, and I did a lot of core exercises and didn't see a difference or enough that I don't need the surgery anymore. But really, there's a lot of, I mean, like at some point, exercise isn't going to fix that abdominal wall situation. Like I can't do enough crunches to fix and repair that. Same thing with like, I have tried fasting. I do a lot of fasting right now. You can't do enough fasting to fix the skin situation that I have. So yeah, let's see here. The belly button stump is a thing. Yeah, it's very strange. We'll see how it ends up looking when I'm done with it all. Will you have to pay for all of this on your own, or will insurance help with it? Insurance will definitely not help with it, unfortunately. I don't know why they do this in the US, but it is considered a cosmetic surgery, which is crazy with this like muscle separation in the abdominal wall. And even some women have like hernias. And a lot of times if they're doing a tummy tuck at the same time, insurance won't even cover the hernia stuff. Like I am having to pay for this myself. Yeah, definitely not insurance covered whatsoever. How did Judy and I meet? Okay, Judy is Nutrition with Judy, if you guys didn't know. She is incredible. We actually just met through social media. I have some of my best friends in life. I have been friends with now for many years. I've met through social media, and Judy was kind of like my first like best friend through social media. Several years ago, she started the Carnivore 75 Hard Challenge. We did it for the first time. She started it 75 days before January 1st. 2019. And she had reached out to several people who had Instagram accounts and asked us to help her advertise for that or promote for it, I guess, or to be a part of it, right? I wanted to participate in the challenge with her. And so I think before that, actually, though, I had gone on she had invited me on her YouTube channel. I don't even think I had a YouTube channel back then. She had invited me on her YouTube channel to do an interview for Nutrition with Judy. And we just really hit it off. I think through that interview, we found out how much we had in common. And then during the Carnivore 75 Hard Challenge, we just started talking every day and just got to be really good friends. And we did a girls trip, and we've done, my job lets me travel. And so I've ended up in Austin quite a few times, and we've got to spend time together there. And then we did Thanksgiving together last year. We're going to do Thanksgiving together this year. Judy's and her whole family is going to be at my house next week. And actually next Tuesday night, we are going to go live on Locals for all my local supporters. So if you are in Locals, which is, I always forget the exact address. Sorry. LauraESpath.locals.com. And if you are a supporter there, then, we are going to go live. Judy and I are going to go live together. And those are the Locals is the place where we can answer like all of the questions as well. And we will we'll go live there next Tuesday. I don't know what time yet though. It's going to kind of depend on like how things are going around here. Anyway. But yeah, you also check out our podcast. If you don't know that, Judy and I do a podcast together, Cutting Against the Grain. Will they donate your skin to a burn center? So I have to ask about that. I keep hearing people mention it. It hasn't been discussed yet, but I definitely want to find out. I would be curious. So after my husband Chris, had his necrotizing fasciitis, they removed so much of his skin, and he actually had a ton of skin grafts from his own legs and skin, but he spent like, a couple months in the burn ward essentially. And he was in the ICU with all the burn stuff because this flesh eating bacteria was being like, once all the flesh eating tissue was removed, his body was basically stripped and it was treated like a burn victim. He had the wound vac and he did all the skin grafts. And so I would love to donate that skin to Burn Center. I have to talk to them and see how that's possible. I'm not sure if my surgeon allows for that or not, but I would love to be able to do that because I know that those skin grafts and the pain and the challenges that burn victims deal with is so crazy. And so I would love to be able to do that. I definitely want to find out. It's a lot of skin. So we'll see how that goes. Sneak a camera in your belly button. Then it would be like the stump of a belly button and you'd see the doctors like cutting all around it. They have been very open about having me do all that stuff. So I am going to try to do it. So is the recovery center aware of you being carnivore? Are they going to accommodate? I had my pre-op appointment already. And in that they talk about the recovery center is going to feed me there. I let them know I was just going to bring my own food. So I don't think they're not going to provide anything carnivore for me. They do keep things on hand to feed you. And then they do like IV fluids and stuff for the first night or so. And so I am bringing my own food for that. I also am requesting to have IVs that are not sugar based. So a lot of IV fluids are full of dextrose and a lot of different sugars and stuff. And so I am asking for, ones that are just saline only and fluids, and not sugar. I don't know what I'm going to be able to eat. I hear that like after surgery, your appetite is pretty low. And also you can't really eat a lot in one sitting. I will say during my pre-op appointment, she was talking about the necessity of protein. And I also am in a lot of like surgery Facebook groups, like kind of getting prepared for this and trying to learn as much as possible. And everybody is talking about like how much important protein is to get after your surgery. Now, the unfortunate thing is most of these women are like drinking protein shakes that are also full of sugar. And on the flip side, the doctor is like talking about how important protein is. Like you have to eat a lot of calories. It's important to have a lot of calories to heal, which is so great that they're sharing that information. They're also talking about how important protein is for you to heal and your body needs a lot of protein. But then on the flip side, they're like, you might need to take, like eat light foods. So eat a lot of crackers and Jello and applesauce and oatmeal and Gatorade. And I'm like, you just told me to eat a lot of protein. And then you listed out that I should be eating foods that are light. And then you're talking about oatmeal and crackers and Jello. Like, where's the protein in any of these foods? So anyway, I ordered a whole bunch of carnivore snacks. And I'm pretty convinced the chicken ones are going to be best. First of all, the chicken is like amazing. This is Carnivore Snacks, not the other brand, which is not amazing, but the Carnivore Snacks, the new chicken sliders, I feel like they don't have like a lot of fat on them. So if I'm feeling nauseous from the meds, it's not going to bother me. And I feel like I can nibble on them like crackers. And so I'm planning on taking those, some protein. I'm going to try and use the bone broth protein powder from Paleo Valley. I'm trying to think what else I was going to take with me that I think I would be able to like nibble on, even just like some salt and things like that. I definitely will be bringing like, Element and just my own food. So yeah. Okay, I saw 2 questions coming in. Can you touch later on doing carnivore incorrectly? And then somebody else just said, what were you doing when you say, is carnivore bad that you got too thin yet unhealthy? Okay, so I don't know how to do anything in not intensely, right? I'm an all-in type of person. When I had like made the decision to lose weight, it was like my only focus for a period of time. And so in 2018, like my only focus was I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And I did. I lost 100 pounds very fast. At the end, I had some loose skin and I was like, okay, let's start going to the gym. Like I've lost 100 pounds. Let's see what else we can do. And I started going to the gym, which I've really never done in my life. But for about 6 months, I was intensely going to the gym. And I was doing these like intense classes all the time. And I was they were like lifting classes or whatever, just like 3 or 4 days a week, like pretty intense classes. At the same time, I was still fasting. which is great, but I was doing like multiple 48-hour fasts a week. So again, fasting is a good thing. Too much fasting, depending on your health, is not a good thing. And so at this point, I had lost like 120 pounds. I was, at the time, I didn't realize it, but I was under eating. I think that happens a lot on carnivore. So when I first started eating this way, I could eat a large volume of food in one sitting. And so pretty quickly, like Chris and I had started intermittent fasting, and I was doing, 2 meals a day. And then pretty quickly we went down to just eating 1 meal a day. Well, in the beginning, I could easily eat 1 meal a day and get all of my calories in that I needed to in a day. And because I was used to eating like a large pizza and ice cream. And so it wasn't a big deal for me to eat this large volume of food. Well, over time, I could no longer eat this like 2 pounds of meat in one sitting anymore. And I also didn't realize that I was sitting down to eat ribeyes. This is back when I was pretty much living on only ribeyes. They were a lot cheaper back then. And so I was eating only ribeyes. I was cutting off all of like the big globby fat because I hate eating like the big chunks of fat. And so then you're left with like less meat. So then over time, I just couldn't eat that much in one sitting anymore, but I was still doing the same amount of fasting. So I was under eating, right? So I was left with eating like a pound of ribeye minus all of the fat that's on the ribeye. And then that's all I would eat for like 24 hours. And then sometimes I would go 48 hours after that. And so to me, it was this combination of like, I think fasting is a great thing. I think exercise is a great thing. I think that, losing weight is a great thing. But at some point, I didn't know how to stop doing all of those things so intensely. And so I was like doing too much fasting. I was not eating enough. I was doing too much exercise. And all of those things were like really stressing my body out. And I was losing weight so fast. And so I think I was just doing too much. And so sometimes when something is working really well for us, we think doing more will always be a good thing. And it's not. It's definitely not. I also will say that, yes, doing things that quickly worked and I lost a lot of weight. I also didn't know how to make it sustainable. It was not sustainable for me to lose weight that way. It wasn't sustainable from a health perspective, obviously, because I was stressing my body out by doing too much all at once. It also wasn't sustainable from a lifestyle perspective. I don't have hours to spend in the gym all the time. I can't live on ribeyes all the time. I got bored of it mentally, honestly. I just can't live that way long term. And so because of that, I then didn't know how to like back off of being that intense without swinging the pendulum to the other direction. And that's exactly what happened for me in 2020. The gyms closed and I didn't know how to like, eat a little bit more without eating too much. And it just kind of like turned into this like really unsustainable thing. And so that's kind of where this balance of now finding what's sustainable every day has been a lot better. So now I'm like, I probably should exercise a little more, but I eat a large variety of meats. I'm often criticized because I eat a lot of spices, but to me, that's what makes it interesting and delicious and sustainable. So like, I'm not losing weight as quickly now as I did before, but I also have kept it off now for several years when previously, even on carnivore, I was still going through this yo-yo phase because the way that I was doing it wasn't sustainable for me, if that makes sense, right? That was kind of a tangent, but I feel like, there's a lot of ways you can lose weight really fast. It doesn't mean that it's healthy. And now through all of this, I think that part of the reason I got too thin and too unhealthy was like a combination of all these things too much. But I still am a big advocate for fasting for most people. I do fasting still most regularly. I just don't do it as much as before. Like more of something is not always better. And I definitely believe that. I will definitely tell Chris and the kids hi for you. Hello. Let's see. Yay. I'm glad you found me. So watching someone else's videos about carnivore until I ran across your videos. Now I just watched for your chats. Good. I've been trying to do at least one live stream on YouTube a month. I do go live on locals every week for the most part. at least 3 times a month. I go live on locals, and that's a much smaller group, so I'm able to discuss more, and I go on a lot more rants in locals, that's for sure. I'm just very, very, very excited for the surgery. Have you thought about how much weight you will lose? I don't. I'm so curious, actually. Like, I'm assuming they'll cut off some weight. I'm trying to not think about weighing myself afterwards. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of skin and tissue that's removed. I can't imagine it's going to be a lot, though. I do know a lot of people go through these types of surgeries and they almost end up weighing the same. They're just shaped a little bit differently. But I think those people maybe don't have the volume of skin to remove that I do. I know there's a lot of people that have way more skin than I do. So I'm definitely not, I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess, of like the average tummy tuck versus like extreme skin removal. But I am very curious, actually. Wondering how this turns out for you. I'm thinking that I will get it where I want to be. Thanks for sharing your journey. So you know what? I wanted this very badly several years ago. I would say in like 2018, I was like, great, I lost my weight. Now I want surgery, or 2019. It definitely wasn't the right time for me. And I talked about this a little more in depth on an episode of Cutting Against the Grain that's coming out on my surgery day. We have an episode coming out with our friend Mary, who recently had this exact same surgery done. And I think I had to prove to myself, actually, like I've seen people in some of these surgery groups that talk about how they do this kind of surgery, hoping that it will motivate them to lose weight or that it will motivate them to keep the weight off. And I definitely think that would have been my mindset a couple of years ago, where I'm like, oh, I need to have this surgery and then that'll make me not gain my weight back again. Well, how many times have I thrown away all of my big pants thinking that like, oh, I'll throw away all my big sizes of clothes and that will motivate me to not gain my weight back again? It does not work. Okay. There cannot be this like external motivation for me to not gain my weight back. I had to figure out how to keep this weight off myself before I could think about having this kind of surgery, because I guarantee you, and it happens a lot. I mean, I get messages all the time where people are saying that they had this surgery and it was amazing, but unfortunately they gained a bunch of weight afterwards. And so I definitely think that you have to be in a good place with yourself, and you can know what that is. But for me, I feel like I have proven to myself that I can keep this weight off, whether I have the surgery or not. And so this is just an additional bonus to kind of like free me from that past life, I guess, in a lot of ways. So yeah, I will definitely share. I am doing a local Arizona surgeon. I haven't shared who he is yet. I will absolutely share, but I think I was going to wait until I liked the results. So I knew if I wanted to share that you should go see him, or hopefully I'm not sharing that you shouldn't go see him. But I'm feeling very confident about what they're doing. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So recent comment, don't a lot of people use liposuction to lose weight? Yeah, for sure you can. I think most reputable surgeons are not doing large volume liposuction. Doing large volume liposuction is very dangerous. Most of the time when you're doing liposuction, they're taking out like 2 or 3 pounds. It's not like they're doing that. I think you will find surgeons out there who will do large volume liposuction, and that is very risky. I actually did a consultation with a surgeon who does extreme maybe there are a lot of surgeons, if you're borderline certain BMIs considered plus size, then they might do your surgery anyway, just because they think you're healthy enough to handle the surgery. But then there's like the extreme BMI case where there are very few surgeons who will do a surgery on that situation. And there are also very few surgeons who will do extreme large volume liposuction removal. Takes a long time. It's really dangerous in general. And so yeah, that definitely, I wouldn't recommend doing it. So they are doing lipo with me, but we're doing it like on my love handles. It's not like a large volume. So they are doing that. They're going to do the skin removal from the front. And then just because otherwise, if they only did the skin removal, you'd be left with these like almost like tennis balls sections on your corner, because everything else is going to be so flat. And then you're going to have like little round squeezy spots on the sides that they didn't remove. So They are removing that with me for liposuction, but it's not like 30 pounds. It's like, a couple of pounds, I guess, is what they're saying, or liters, or however they measure it. But yeah. Do you eat do you eat the fat now on the ribeye or other fats? I definitely eat the fat on the outside of a ribeye. I think if there's like a big globby piece of fat in the middle of a ribeye, I personally still would have problems with that from a texture perspective. Usually Chris just eats it off my plate. So I would take it, I would crisp it up in the air fryer, or I would crisp it up in the skillet if I was going to eat it personally. I get fat through eating things like bacon and pork belly and egg yolks. Just in my normal food, I add butter to the top of my steak. What else do I eat that's fatty? I mean, just like meats in general. So, but I'm okay with like the meat on the outside of or the fat on the outside of the meat that gets like a little bit crispy, but just like that texture of like globby fat. I just can't do it for sure. I'm going to be taking, I'd like to see before and after pictures. So I have some awesome like before and after pictures. So if you go to the community section of my feed, I have before pictures, like before I lost weight. And then you can literally see the after pictures from where I lost weight, like the one in the thumbnail of this video. It's like this giant belly, and then it's the same exact shape. Like my shape has not changed. I've lost 100 pounds and my shape has not changed. It's just gotten like shrunken down, but I still have that same outside fat. I still have that saggy belly that's down below. It's just everything got a lot smaller and deflated. And so it is crazy how that works. Like, this is why I'm sorry. I'm just like very adamant. Like, your body's going to do what your body's going to do. And the fact that you think that you could change the shape of your body by doing some routine is a little crazy to me, because, it's one thing to build muscle when you're exercising, but your body is going to lose fat wherever you're going to lose fat. And it is what it is. And there's not some special protocol that you can do to change the shape of your waist if that's not what your body wants to do already. And so no matter how skinny I get, right? I was a size 20 originally. I am now a size like 8, and I had gotten down to a size 4 previously. My body was the same shape, right? It just got smaller. And then now I'm back up to like, I went from that 4, I'm back up to like a size 8-ish. And so there's just nothing that's going to change. Your body is going to do what your body's going to do. And so unless you have surgery like this, it's not going to change unless it wants to. So, it is interesting how that works for sure. Let's see. Yeah, definitely. I've said this a little bit more in depth earlier, Wendy, but no insurance is covering this, unfortunately. How long is my recovery? So that is a good question. I am probably a little crazy. My surgery is on a Wednesday, and I'm going back to work, not in person. So most doctors will say you need 2 full weeks, like laying in bed. Like for 2 weeks, you need to pretend like you had surgery. You can't do anything for 2 weeks. So I'm having my surgery on a Wednesday, and then by Monday, I'm hoping to like work from home half the time. And this is my desk. I like work from home. Unless I'm traveling, I work from home. I'm not even going to be like sitting at my desk less than a week later. I'm going to be in a recliner, and I ordered a hospital bed table that like goes over. And so I'm hoping to like be in my recliner typing for my job by Monday. I am not traveling. I travel a lot for my job as well. And so thankfully, the fact that this is the beginning of December, and December is a light month for most people, like corporate travel, and then Christmas and New Year's. So I have like 6 weeks where I'm not traveling. I'm very grateful for that. I think that the incisions, and most people are talking about like the pain of the incision and the pain from the lipo and that kind of stuff. You're feeling better in like 2 to 3 weeks. It's the muscle repair, I think, that takes longer. I think most people are still feeling pretty swollen. Occasionally, like 6 to 8 weeks out, you might still want to wear some garments that help reduce swelling. And then anybody that I've talked to has said essentially like 3 to 6 months afterwards, they're feeling like 100% complete, back to normal. So that's kind of where I'm at there. But I will be sharing. I think like initially my goal is to share a video on YouTube like a month out. Um, I'm going to see how that is, how I'm feeling about that. We'll see like what kind of content I get. But again, let me know if you guys want like day of in the surgery videos or whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to, my surgery's December 7th. I'm going to be filming this weekend 2 YouTube videos that are going to come out in December. So let me know if you have any like specific topics you want me to address, or what you want me to cover before I go. And then those are going to come out like while I'm recovering. I'll still have a couple of videos that I'm going to come out on my, on the main channel. But I definitely will be sharing lots of recovery stuff. Where do I get my pork belly in Phoenix? Honestly, I get it at Costco. I mean, granted, if you wanted somewhere local, all the way down in Queen Creek is the pork shop, and I love them. It's a butcher shop that specializes in pork, so I really love that. But I get it at Costco. Most of the time you can get that really big slab in a bag, and it's pretty awesome. Let's see here. Do you have any specific plans to eat, diet, fast during recovery? As someone who has done cosmetic surgery before, I remember the recovery process being out of my routine. Because I know how important protein is for healing, I definitely plan on sticking to carnivore. I want to kind of get all this junk out of my system like as quickly as possible from the anesthesia. I know that I have a whole YouTube video where I've talked about my history with before carnivore with hemorrhoids and, constipation and digestive issues. And I am very scared for that because after anesthesia and taking opiates and the pain in general, pretty much everybody has constipation issues. So I'm going to be very proactive to try to get in front of that as much as possible. I would like to do some fasting afterwards just to get everything out of my system. But to be honest, I don't know how taking the pain medication and stuff is going to do on my stomach. Like I don't have a lot of experience with pain medications. And so I don't know if I probably will want to eat something during that time. I mean, it's like having a birth plan. You have all these plans and things that how you think they're going to go. And then once you actually get to the hospital, like everything goes out the window when you see like what really happens. So yeah, we'll see. But obviously I'm taking food with me and I'm planning on kind of just eating I'm going to just take my appetite for like how much appetite do I really have, but I definitely think I'll be fine. My biggest thing is like just to try and stay in front of the constipation. And so I have a lot of thoughts around eating carnivore snacks, but that's just a lot of protein and there's not a lot of fat, and fat's kind of like what helps keep your bowels moving. And so I'm hoping I'm feeling good enough to like dip it in butter. And so if I'm eating a lot of butter and a lot of protein, then I'm hoping that will help keep things moving as well. That's a lot about poop, but you know what I'm saying? Arms, like, my arms are just going to be what they're going to be. I don't know. When I'm exercising more, then, I mean, I could do it, but I probably won't, to be honest. Same thing with my thighs. Like everything's not same thing. The doctor told me that I have like excess skin on my back. Like I always thought this was just my back fat. And he's like, no. He's like, look here, squeeze. And he's like, this is skin. Like you're just had more fat back there and you've lost weight. And so you have skin back here. And so he's like, we could get rid of that as well too, if you want. Like I'm trying to not do all of those things and worry about it and obsess about it. That's also something else that I'm really focusing on, is trying to ensure that I don't obsess about fixing every little thing. I'm like, this is, this is just like the thing that's bothering me the most. I feel like it's what prevents me from wearing clothes normally. I just want to like get up and go and wear clothes and be normal and not have to like worry about garments and undergarments and sucking my tummy in and all the things. And so I'm hoping that this like lets me just live my life from now on and not nitpick about every other little thing on me. I'm going to work really hard to not let those things be a focus of mine. So we'll see over time. Same thing. Like I'm sure, gravity could help lift things. Like, I mean, gravity has not been kind in other areas. And so, honestly, after I recover from this is where I do feel like I would have more motivation to go back to the gym and try to like get, build some thigh muscle tone and like do some more stuff with my arms and my back. And I feel like those are things that I can control more so with exercise when something like, and then tone them more than they are now. And they will have a big impact with exercise when something like my stomach, there's just no way that that's ever going to go away at all. And the same thing too, like depending on how severe your arms are, you do have like, you're left with a really long scar down your arm, which depending on how much it bothers you. And, at this point, I'm hoping that I can just adjust things on my own. And thankfully too, like I'm very lucky as far as recovery goes. Chris is a stay-at-home dad. He also cooks for us every day. And so he's going to be the best nurse for me. He is going to deliver me if I wanted to, we'll see what I have an appetite for, but he is fully prepared to kind of deliver me all the things as well. And the same thing too, as far as like keeping things going. Okay. Lemon water is a good tip. Also electrolytes. So like I'm going to use my element. I have a lot of magnesium. Yeah. A couple people have mentioned magnesium. I'm also hoping like, drinking some bone broth is something else that I would do when I got home. But those are all things. I will say, like, I have heard from now lots and lots and lots of people, and everybody is saying, like, it's really painful. It was miserable recovery. I don't regret it for 1 second. It's the best thing I ever did. It changed my life. And so, like, I kind of get emotional thinking about that and talking about it. Even just like yesterday, I was taking a shower and like the thought of like, it's so weird to like think about what is my body really going to look like? This is so strange. How am I going to cope with this? Or like, what is this going to be like? It's just such an emotional thing. I don't know. I've just been so ready for this for a long time. And it doesn't even feel real. Your body, you may have a lot of swelling at first as your body retains water to make up for the loss of fluids via the incision. It's natural. Don't freak out. That's a good takeaway for sure. I do hear a lot about people swelling. Yeah, absolutely. How often do you 48-hour fast now? Probably, I'm not on like a big strict schedule on it anymore. I used to be very regimented, and now it really just has to be like, am I busy enough to fast? I would say probably twice a month. I'm doing it now. It's not every week anymore. I'm also just not like, if I plan to 48-hour fast and then I randomly get hungry in the middle of the day, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to eat something instead. And I just make sure that it's meat, and then I don't really stress too much about it. Sometimes though, especially if I've been traveling for like a week. So last week, actually, I was in Midland, Texas for the first half of the week. And then I flew to Denver, and then I flew home, and I did bring some of my own food, but I was also eating restaurant food every single day. And while, I don't obsess about the sketchy oils or whatever they used. I was in Midland, Texas, and pretty much all the food I ate for 3 days was Mexican food, which means that it was some version of like a bunch of carne asada and chicken and like fajita meat, essentially. There's probably some kind of marinade on that. There was seasonings on it. There was maybe some kind of oil used on that. If I ate that for a day or two, no big deal. But when I'm eating that and like I don't notice any difference, and it doesn't bother me. But when it's all of a sudden, like I had 6 days of travel, I left on Sunday and I came home Friday. By the end of the week, I'm just kind of feeling like a little gross and inflamed and ready to fast. Like after that long, my body definitely wants to I'm just feeling like I'm retaining a lot, or like a little bit inflamed. And a lot of that is just from like eating in a restaurant every day for a week. And so a good 48-hour fast at the end of a trip like that, I feel like it's needed. And I feel better when I do that. Even though I stuck to carnivore the whole time, it's just like not quite as clean as I eat at home. And I can tell a difference over the course of a week. And then also if I just have been like eating a lot or snacking, I might feel like it. But really it's like if I am really, really busy, like actually today would have been an easy day for me to fast because I had a bunch of meetings this morning for work. And then I had a hair appointment at 12:15. And then I rushed home. I recorded an episode of Cutting Against the Grain with Judy. I hung out with the kids for a minute, and then I jumped on here to this live stream. Chris actually delivered me a steak to the table earlier today. So I had planned ahead for that. But if it wasn't for him doing that, today would have been a super easy day for me to just skip eating all day because I was so busy, and I probably wouldn't have been very hungry at all. And so If I have busy days like that, I might throw an extra fast in at some point. But for the most part, it's about twice a month now. I think if I was trying to lose a lot more weight, I would do it once a week. I have done it more than once a week in the past, and I just don't think that I would do that again anymore. Number one, like mentally, it's just not fun. And physically, I don't think it was good for me to do it more than once a week. I think your body needs to refeed in between properly. I think a lot of people run into problems when they're under eating and fasting. And I was doing that for a while. So when you're doing 40-hour fast like twice a week, which is what I did originally, I think you have a harder time eating enough in between. And then you can start having like, issues over time. My longest fast, I mean, I've done 7 days before, but I don't think I would do that again. At this point, I really haven't found benefits from going that long. I think in the last 2 years, I've done a 72-hour fast like twice. I think 48 is really my magic of like, I personally don't have, I'm not trying to heal anything major. I don't have cancer. I don't have epilepsy. I don't have those major things that can be benefited from doing those longer fasts. Maybe once a year I'll do like a 72 or 3 or 4 days or something like that. But at this point, what do I drink during fast? Like just water. I'm not a coffee drinker in general. I do water and then I do electrolytes. I do the raw unflavored element. 1 or 2 of those. If I'm doing like, I'll do 1 in the mornings, but then on a normal day. But then if I'm doing a longer fast, I might do 2 or 3. I need carnivore to be magic. I wish it was that simple. For me, it's taking surgery. Some people are going to tell you otherwise, but that is not the case for me. Absolutely. Dip it in butter. Hospitals don't use real butter. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm taking my own butter with me. Yeah. I probably will just nibble on the carnivore snacks for the first 24 hours. I'm going to worry about adding butter when I come home. I'm only going to be staying in the facility for 24 hours. So I'll worry about adding the butter when I get home. What's my fat to protein ratio? I have no idea. I don't know. And you know what? Not only do I have no idea, I mean, I do have a general idea because I get asked that question a lot. And so I try to figure it out for people. Let me rephrase that and say, I don't strive to hit a specific fat to protein ratio every day. I also will say that it's very different. Today, I actually, what did I say? I had a steak, right? Yesterday, I don't even remember, my days are getting all mixed up, but one day this week, I had like a bunch of shrimp and a bunch of chicken and I put sour cream and butter on it, but that was a very lean day. It just so happened and then I ate a bag of carnivore snacks for dinner. So I had a pretty lean day. Well, then the next day I just got really hungry for some fat. And so I ate a steak with a bunch of butter on top. And so having this very specific fat to protein ratio that I hit every single day is not a goal of mine. Some days I want more fat. Some days I want less fat. Some days like chicken sounds really good. And the next day, like a big old fatty steak sounds good with pork belly or something. Like it definitely varies based on how I'm feeling and like what my activity level is like and stuff. So I don't have like a specific fat to protein ratio that I'm looking to hit. I just make sure that I eat enough protein. I personally have ran into problems in the past when I was not eating enough protein. If I'm not eating enough protein, then I can't stay out of the bathroom because it's just all liquid. And then I also had experienced a lot of hair loss before. And I think that was a combination of like losing weight so quickly and then also under eating protein. So under eating in general and under eating protein. And I was experiencing a lot of hair loss. I have a whole YouTube video about that. What does my husband think about this surgery? I don't know, Chris, you want to share with them? He is happy that I will be happy. He is being supportive of this because he loves me, but he is happy. He loves me the way that I am. And we'll leave it at that. Yeah, he is working hard to be understanding and supportive of how I feel. And he's going to be happy that I'm happy, but he certainly loves me and is happy with the way that I am now and was not at all like pushing for this. If anything, he tried talking me out of it for a very long time. And I think that now that he realizes he can't talk me out of it, he is being supportive so that I don't get resentful. But we're doing good. Right, babe? Yeah, there he is. What you said. Okay, are my kids worried about me getting surgery? That has been an interesting thing. I didn't want to not tell them and then just like have a surgery one day. They're old enough where they know about this. I didn't really know. I still don't know what the right thing is to say to them. I think they just know that mom needs to get some stuff fixed on her stomach because she was unhealthy before, right? Chris and I really everything with this. When we look back at pictures of us, I don't say like, "Oh, I was so fat." Like we never talk like that to the kids. And they really never hear me talk about weight stuff. It's saying like, do you see that picture of me? That's because I was so unhealthy and I was eating too much sugar. And they know Chris, especially, right, got necrotizing fasciitis. And because he got that flesh eating bacteria because he was diabetic, and he was diabetic because he ate too much sugar for too long. And so it's not the fact that the sugar itself is bad, which is why they do eat sugar sometimes, right? It's the fact that we both ate too much sugar for too long and we got really sick. And so you can be sick even if you're not big like mom and dad were. Like it's really not, and people can be healthy and those types of things. So we really try to focus on that. They know that, I am going to get my stomach fixed because remember back when I was sick, because I was eating too much sugar all the time, like that kind of messed up my stomach a little bit. And so I'm like, now I want to get that fixed. And so I don't know if this is the right way to explain it. It is what it is. Chris is no longer diabetic. Within less than 6 months, he was able to completely reverse his diabetes. He was off of all his medications. I have a full interview with him if you want to hear how he did all of that. But he used to be on like tons of medications. He used to sleep with a sleep apnea machine. Once he stopped sleeping with the sleep apnea machine, I had to get a noise machine to put next to the bed because I missed hearing his little machine in my ear at night. And so we really missed out on having that. So somebody said your husband had flesh eating bacteria too. You know what? Chris is in Locals and he's actually, I make a morning post in Locals every single day. That's free to the public. You don't have to be a supporter to read that. If you go to lauraespath.locals.com, you can see my posts that I make every morning. And Chris actually made today's post. About once a week, Chris does it for me. So that's free if you're not a supporter. If you want to comment back and if you want to watch some of the live streams that I do, and if you want to watch like YouTube videos early, then you could be a supporter for $10. But you can still see the post that I make every single day in there for free. And then I send out like email stuff and sometimes and all that good stuff. But yeah, how long did it take Chris to completely heal his type 2 diabetes? I'm type 2 and 1 to 2 months in and struggling, have improved my numbers greatly, but I'm getting impatient. He would tell you for sure. I would think he didn't really go back to get his blood sugar regulated very quickly. And he was off of his medication fairly quickly. Within a few months, I think it wasn't not quite 1 to 2 months, but he really had to incorporate fasting to help lower his glucose in that way and reverse those numbers. And then it was within a few months, he was able to get off of his medication. And then it was, I don't think he got his actual A1C checked for like a year, but he went from an A1C of 11.9 all the way down to like 5.0 or something, like 4.9 even at one point, right? So a lot of fasting, a lot of walking, and then carnivore and consistency. Yeah, there's Chris. He went from 11.9 down to 4.9 from his A1C. So he's definitely my inspiration in all of that for sure. Sorry, it's hard to see all the comments. So if I've missed something, you feel free to post it again. Sorry. It's definitely not intentional. Saving for a trip to Judy's facility to see how my weird body keeps reacting to things. Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm actually very curious about? So I've always done the DEXA scans which I do not recommend because it's very depressing. So every time I do one of those, it tells me that I'm obese. And I'm like, it's like, because it doesn't, I'm convinced that it doesn't recognize the excess skin that we have. And it just counts that, like, it recognizes lean muscle tissue and then non-lean muscle tissue. And so I did I'm at a very healthy weight right now. And I did a DEXA scan last year at KetoCon. And again, it told me that I'm obese. And so I'm very curious and interested about having another DEXA scan done at KetoCon this year in April. And I will be like 4 months post surgery by that point, like 4.5 months. And I'm going to do another DEXA scan after having all that skin removed. And I'm very curious what it's going to say. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most about KetoCon this year is, like meeting her. It's all the wonderful things, but I want to get another DEXA scan and just say like, see, it's my skin. That's exactly what it was. Will you be making a video on your method of making pork and beef jerky? So like, I go back and forth on this one, to be honest. And I'm sorry, this isn't really the answer that you're wanting. It's not as much there's no recipe or anything. It's just really, and it just takes special equipment. And I feel bad making a video about it because I don't want people to feel like they have to buy all this specialty equipment. So really the only thing I can say is, I promise you, it literally is as simple as take any cut of take pork or take beef and slice it absolutely as thin as possible and then put it in the dehydrator and then just leave it in there till it tastes kind of crispy, and like start with 3 hours and then like check it. I have one of my dehydrators, I can get stuff done in like 3 or 3.5 hours, and other stuff it's done in like 5 or 6 hours. And it really just depends on like how thin can you cut it, kind of all of those things. So I don't think I would make a full video on that, but I will happily answer questions as much as possible. But it's really just like slice it as thin as possible and then put it in the dehydrator. I have salted it before and I've salted it after. Sometimes I actually take like a barbecue seasoning, like something that you would put on like a pork butt, and like then I make barbecued meat, jerky. I've also put meat on the smoker, like nice and thin, and it gets like a really good smoky flavor. So it really kind of just depends on what equipment you have, right? I have a very cheap dehydrator and I have a very expensive dehydrator. Both of those work really great. So it's like whatever way you have of slicing meat as absolutely thin as possible, and then stick it in the dehydrator is the best way to do it. And then you can kind of play around with different salts and seasonings. I know people who use like garlic powder. Nathaniel loves pizza seasoning. Like Flavor God makes pizza seasoning and ranch seasoning, and the kids take little dried pieces of meat and they put pizza seasoning on top of it. And, you can just really play around with that. So it kind of depends on like what equipment you have and how sensitive you are to seasonings and stuff. So that would be try a batch and like salt half of it first and then wait and salt the other half when it comes out and see which one you like better. It really is. Chris and I like very different textures of jerky also. He likes it more crispy and I like it more chewy. So it kind of, there's just so many factors of that anyway. Okay, cool. I'm going to wrap up in just a second. I promised the kids, it's 8:00 here. So I promised the kids I would go tuck them in bed. Penelope and I are reading the Little House on the Prairie book series. So we read a chapter every night. So I promised I would still go do that. Let's see. Your carnivore diet is just as simple as eating meat only. Ignore the rest of the food pyramid. You got it, Blake. That's exactly right. Eat some meat. You could eat some eggs. Cheese is a condiment. Have a little dairy on the side if you feel good for it. That's about it. For me, salt. That's a big one. KetoCon, right? If you guys are going to KetoCon, yay. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to be there. It's April 21st through the 23rd, and April 22nd is my birthday. So we're going to have and I'm going to be, I don't know which day yet, but they have an MC for the main stage on one for each day. So I'll be the MC for one of the days. So I'm not really sure which day yet. So there essentially will be like 3 MCs, like one for each day. I don't know what day I'm doing yet. It might be fun to kind of do it on Saturday on my birthday. I'm also going to be speaking on one of the panels as well. That will be about carnivore. Where is KetoCon? It's in Austin, Texas this year. Yeah. Did I have dental issues before carnivore? Oh, that's a big one. Absolutely. I had dental issues. before carnivore, like a lot of cavities, a lot of tartar buildup, a lot of like I had so many root canals and crowns and like ugh, I've had surgery on my tongue. I've just like mouth stuff. I have major dental anxiety. Like I panic just going to get my teeth cleaned, and it's taken me a lot of years. And honestly, carnivore has been a lifesaver for me for that. My gums, like I used to have a lot of gum infections. And so I know I get called out sometimes because I talk about my gums healing. Like, you're not going to grow new gums. If you have gums receding, you're not going to grow new gums with carnivore. But 100%, I have lost the inflammation and the infection in my gums, right? I've gotten healthier gums, which has caused them to like hang on to my teeth a little better that way. So, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Listen, I love carnivore snacks. I order them. I pay for them. Okay. They do not send me free product. I pay for them. I order them because I love the convenience, but I also make a lot of my own jerky because I can't keep up with it myself. And as much as I travel, I want sometimes like for my surgery, I'm not going to like bring homemade stuff just because I want the ease of like taking this stuff on my surgery. But we do make a lot of homemade stuff around here, like investing in equipment for making your own homemade jerky, like getting some type of meat slicer and a good dehydrator has made a huge difference. And then I buy stuff that's a treat, and then I don't have to worry about keeping up with myself on it. But yeah, or you can go to a meat market and they'll cut it paper thin for you. And that's absolutely true. I know Costco already slices it themselves. So yeah. All right. I will keep you posted. I have 2 YouTube videos coming out. Actually, I don't even know what they're going to be about yet. I have to film them this weekend. Okay. They will come out in December. And then I will maybe go live, but I will keep you guys posted. I will do YouTube videos on my surgery. It's just not going to come out until the end of December or January until like I'm kind of been recovered and I have something to show you. Like when I'm all gross and swollen, y'all, I want to wait and show you the final product. So yeah, I absolutely thank you guys for everything. I will keep you posted. And if you want more content or more live streams or want to talk to me more, you can come find me on Locals. That's lauraespath.locals.com. And I hope you guys have a great night. Have an amazing weekend. And we didn't even talk about Thanksgiving, but have a wonderful Thanksgiving.